A massive boulder suddenly came loose, crashing down on a mother bear who was searching for food. Her cub didn't yet understand what had happened. She watched as her mother's head was trapped under the rock. Desperately, she tried to push it away, but it wouldn't budge an inch. She struggled for a long time, managing to move only a few small stones. The little bear ran in circles, helpless and terrified. After a while, a butterfly fluttered by, catching her attention. For a moment, she forgot her sadness. When she grew tired, she lay beside her mother and fell asleep, thinking that when she woke up, everything would be the same again. But as the sun went down, her mother still hadn't moved. The next morning, she finally realized her mother would never wake again. But to survive, she had to move on. The world below the mountain was full of danger. At the foot of the slope, she ran into a frog, but the spoiled cub didn't know how to hunt. The frog hopped past her and disappeared into the water. Panicked, she dove in after it, forgetting that she couldn't swim. After swallowing several mouthfuls of water, she finally crawled ashore, trembling. With no other choice, she ate grass and flower petals to survive. At night, her stomach growled from hunger. She dreamed of the frog again, this time with sharp fangs, and woke up in fear, unable to sleep. The next morning, a group of hunters entered the forest. Soon, through their scopes, they spotted a large male bear scratching lazily against a tree. The older hunter told them to wait for the wind to settle, but the young hunter couldn't hold back. When the bear lowered its head to eat berries, he pulled the trigger. The bullet hit the bear's arm. The bear roared in pain. The young hunter tried to shoot again, but the gun jammed. The bear used the chance to escape into the dense forest. The old hunter sighed. If you'd hit his leg, he wouldn't have gotten far. But the young hunter refused to admit his mistake. As they argued, a scream echoed from the forest. When they rushed back to camp, they found torn tents and a dead horse lying in a pool of blood. The old hunter swore he'd catch that bear. Meanwhile, the wounded bear had hidden deep in the woods, leaving a trail of blood behind. That's when he crossed paths with the cub. Overjoyed to see another of her kind, the cub ran up to greet him, but the male bear was in too much pain to care. He swiped his paw, warning her to stay away. The cub backed off, frightened, yet refused to leave. She decided to follow him anyway. They reached a rushing river. The cub hesitated, blocked by the current. As the bear walked away, she gathered her courage and stepped onto the stones. Halfway across, she slipped and fell into the water. The current tossed her around, but she finally grabbed onto a rock and pulled herself out, soaked and shivering. The male bear found a muddy spot nearby and rolled in it to ease his pain. The cub watched quietly, then slowly approached, licking the wound to clean it. His pain eased, and he finally lowered his guard. He allowed her to stay. From that day on, they hunted together. Whenever they caught fish, the male bear always let the cub eat first. At night, the cub slept in his arms, never having nightmares again. One day, they encountered a female bear. To show his strength, the male bear pushed over several trees in a row. The cub didn't understand, but tried to imitate him. When the 10th tree fell, the female bear was impressed, and signaled the male to follow her. Curious, the cub followed too, only to see something she shouldn't have. Heartbroken, she ran away. Days later, they were drinking by the river. Suddenly, the male bear stood up. The cub followed his move, unaware that danger was near. The smell of blood filled the air. A pack of hyenas was closing in. The bear led the cub up the mountain, but she couldn't keep up, and was quickly surrounded. The bear pushed her into a cave, and stood guard at the entrance. He hurled rocks, trying to keep the hyenas away, but there were too many of them. They pounced all at once. The brown bear was soon covered in blood. The cub cowered inside, shaking as the sounds of battle echoed outside. The hunters arrived then. They aimed at the bear, but he was too far away. Sensing danger, the bear retreated into the forest. The young hunter looked at the fallen hound and turned away in grief. The old hunter raised his gun and ended the dog's suffering. As night fell, they found the cub trapped nearby. They tied her with a rope. She didn't understand the danger, and even poked the horse's belly playfully, making the men laugh. Later that night, the cub saw her mother's fur. She lay on it and fell asleep. The hunters watched her quietly, feeling a strange sense of pity, but their mission wasn't over. The young hunter went up the mountain alone, searching for the male bear. Under the blazing sun, he grew desperate for water. As he bent down to fill his canteen, a shadow loomed behind him. The bear roared and charged. Panicked, the hunter grabbed a rock, only making the bear angrier. The bear swung his claws, forcing the man to stumble back. At last, the hunter dropped the rock and knelt down in surrender. The bear stared at him, breathing heavily. After a few seconds, he turned and walked away. The hunter froze, staring at his back in disbelief. The bear could have taken revenge, but chose forgiveness instead. When the old hunter arrived, the young man told him the truth. They both realized that hatred only breeds more pain, while forgiveness can heal all wounds. The brown bear walked away from the forest, and the hunters began their journey home. But just before they left, the cub ran after them. She stood up, looking at them with longing eyes. The young hunter spurred his horse forward, making her take a few frightened steps back. They only wanted to tell her to stay away from humans. The hunters left. The bear disappeared. Once again, the cub was alone in the forest, but the danger wasn't over. A lion had set its sights on her. As it approached, the cub ran for her life, but she was too slow, cornered on a fallen log. She was moments away from death. Suddenly, her paw slipped, and she fell into the rushing river. She clung to a floating log, carried downstream. The lion leapt into the water to chase chase her. Its claws slashed her face, drawing blood. On the brink of death, the cub let out a roar filled with rage and pain. To her shock, the lion froze and backed away. Behind her, the great brown bear had returned, standing guard, protecting his cub.